And I heard an interesting point one time too, where like when people on the left want to say, oh, he's just getting rid of all these people and their citizens and he's kicking them out unfairly and he's just all these people are leaving our country. I heard somebody say one time, why would the party that is all for pro-life, having more babies, repopulating, making sure there's enough people in this country for the things we should be doing, want to get rid of people randomly? Why would we want to kick out good law-abiding citizens? It doesn't make sense. Now, somebody could say, oh, well, they're Nazis, they're racists, they're jerks. They just want to get rid of foreigners and have this whatever. Okay, well, if that's the case, then why would it be so hard to believe then that the other party wants all them in because they can buy them, because they can persuade them, because they can get into power because of them? It's almost like, what makes sense? What makes the most sense? Why would Trump just be a jerk to be a jerk against what his whole party is preaching needs to happen?
Well, the setup is, and I wish a lot of liberals would really look at this, on an even keel. The Biden administration wanted those people here to capture them as voters. So they created a plastic slippy slide and they put baby oil in it. And they passed by all of the due process to get the most amount of those people in.
Mm-hmm.
So the Trump administration laid down a slippy slide and put baby oil in it to get those people out. Both of you did the exact same thing, right? So you can't be more outraged when on the outgo than the income, right? It's the equal strategy. You broke the laws, you broke the rules for the advantage, right? I can't, the only down, I mean, do you think that the Trump administration sees the huge contingent of illegals that are going to be blessed by the Democrats as voters? And that's the reason that he's so eager to get those voters out of the public so they don't start casting their votes. It's a very unpopular angle because every American is going to be like, don't devalue my citizenship and give them access to voters. So regardless if he's inspired by the fact that Republicans are at a disadvantage with all of those illegal immigrants in there, it still makes it more valuable to be a citizen. It ensures the elections aren't a bunch of people who are just voting themselves, benefits for doing it.
Yeah.
So I mind less if it doesn't have noble intentions, right? If it has less noble intentions on the outgo than the income.
Especially when it's so dumb, like, I can't think of the guy's name that went and visited Garcia in El Salvador, and they're all like, this man shouldn't have been kicked out. We're going to talk to him and we're blah, blah, blah. Like, of all the people you're claiming were unjustly kicked out, you go to the one that has controversy behind him. Show me the one that, hey, I was here legally. I did come legally. I was doing what I was supposed to do, and I messed up. I forgot to turn something in. I didn't state something. I didn't claim something. I didn't whatever. Why don't you go to that person to make a martyr out of?
Maybe it's not happening. Maybe the people that they're picking for the low-hanging fruit are so egregious that if you challenged it, you're going to look foolish.
Yeah, because they're going to be like, yeah, I did get kicked out because I was supposed to do this and I didn't. Oh, well, all right, well, we can't use you because that makes sense. Let's go to this guy and make a martyr out of him. We'll just look past the fact
I will tell you, though, that Trump is blessed by the intellectual level of his enemies because they do not do a good job. I feel as a person just looking at it from a third party's perspective, that there are truly things you can go after this dude where he is extremely vulnerable. And they never pick the ones that I would say, yep, that's it.
And every time something comes up, I just said it again the other day when I was looking at like the executive order involving schools and discipline. And then there was another one. I can't remember what it was, but I was just like, I literally said, they're going to lose again. Dems, you will lose again. You're not getting elected in 4 years again because you bring up the dumbest points that have no backing, that are talking points people are sick of hearing. We get something that makes perfect sense. The Trump administration keeps calling it common sense. We're bringing common sense back. So when they present something, and it looks like it makes sense. I don't see anything wrong with it. And instead of finding something that is actually applicable in any way, shape, or form, you bash it by putting out information that's not even true. Well, this thing is going to do this to kids. That's the most outlandish thing I've ever heard. No, it's not. And you just sealed your fate again. I think so many people are so sick of the ridiculous fear mongering that it's like you're losing all your credibility. You've got to find something smarter to run on or to push back with.
You know what this is? This is panic. All right, let me give you the math behind this. Okay, the Democrats needed those illegal immigrants to get citizenship to ever get elected again.
Yeah.
I saw California. If they actually lose the population that's predicted, they're going to lose 27 seats, right, of representation in the House of Representatives. And my numbers might be wrong, but if you start losing seats because the people who shouldn't be here anymore, those were inauthentic, and you built a coalition of people who shouldn't be in here. So when those disappear, you're going to be looking like, oh crap, like we lost 27 for sure Democrat voices in the legislature, right? By one move. Then you take all the apparatuses of all these government agencies and you rip out the way that Soros was able to seed some money in there and collect some government money and then fund Democrat operations. You get your funding source dried up by removing the waste and the fraud. Now you have less money to spend to get elected. Those are just two of the bigger reasons. Your third one here, they're not going to get elected again, right? And they know this unless these 80-20 ones are killer for them, because the reason they pick what they do is they're going after the 20% of people who will side with them, right? And if they pick the 20%, that's a losing percentage when it comes to elections, but they can't help themselves. They can't bail on that and moderate or go after the 80% side. They will have to admit defeat and that they were on the wrong side of this.
Yeah.
So,
all they have and all they do is they create an emotional response to things and they create victims. And Charlie Kirk even mentioned this when he was on Gavin Newsom's show, because I saw Gavin Newsom and Tim Waltz. They were like, they had a discussion. What is going on? Why are we not reaching people? What do we have to change? What do we have to do? And Charlie Kirk is like, all you guys do is create victims. Let's go ahead and fly a bunch of people into the country illegally, put them up in the fanciest hotels in New York City, give them cell phones, and basically pay for their vote. That's what you're doing. Why the heck else would you do it? And then if we have a criminal that gets kicked out of the country, we say, what a jerk you are. Look how nice we're being to people. Look at all the way you're being a jerk, when it doesn't make sense. You're creating this, they're victims. They were kicked out. They should have never been here. You brought them here because you wanted to create victims to shine a light on. Look what a jerk you're being. And it's like, oh my God, we're so sick of this happening. Like the executive order on the discipline. It states that apparently there was an order already in place from Biden that one race of students cannot be expelled, suspended, have the police called on them, any of these things, more so than any other race. Can't do it. All right. Obviously, we don't want to see favoritism or bias against one race over another. But what happens if you are in a classroom that does have a majority of a particular race, and you do have a handful of students that in every way, shape, or form deserve to be expelled or maybe have authorities called on them or need kicked out of the classroom to keep everyone safe? You can't do that because of their race. You can't protect the classroom because of their race. So they say, we're taking race out of it. If you are a danger to your classroom, if you are disruptive, if you are disrespectful, if you aren't there to learn and all you're doing is causing problems, you get kicked out regardless of race. Is there anyone that thinks that doesn't make sense? Would that not make sense? You are out. You are out. You are causing problems. You are out. I don't care the color of your skin. If you are causing problems, you're out. But it's like, well, Well, look what you just did to that poor kid. Look what you just did. Let's make another victim. Look what you're doing to these poor kids, regardless of what their behavior was.
Well, the race prediction would be like they only have so many cards in front of them, right? And they have to play one of those cards because it's the only ones they have, right?
Yeah.
And so what they would do is they'd hear you say that and say, okay, so no, you're not allowed to select and key in on some kind of race. You're going to just do it, without knowing who the person is. I got this race card here. I'm going to pull over. Systemic racism will say that the black kids will have a rougher time with your rule than the white kids. Haha, go see. And it's effective because people react outrage. Like that's a real thing. They almost have to have racism built into the structure because if they ever lose racism, that card goes away and it's not effective anymore.
Yeah. Let's turn it around. Let's say you have a class where 75, 80, 90% of the class is white kids. There's just a couple African-American kids. And there's a handful of white kids that are being disruptive. They're being disrespectful. They're clearly not there to learn. Maybe they're beating up on the African-American kids. Maybe they're causing problems. Guess what? Sorry, according to your own order, I can't kick them out. I can't expel them because it would be more than the other race in the class. Would you not be like, this is bull crap. Get them out of here.
Yeah, that's where DEI needs to go away because we solved this. And if we just protect all classes and make the rules, apply to everyone, then you have real law.
Yeah.
If you have exceptions and asterisks, you don't have law anymore. All you've done is take racism at the bottom of the zero and move racism to the top of it, and you still have racism.
Yep. And that's the only thing the left can do is here's a policy and we think it makes sense. Well, guess what? If you act on it, you're clearly a terrible person.
Right.
You're clearly racist.
But I'm telling you, that's all they have. They have to play that card. They have to keep racism alive because if they lose that card, what other victim classes? I mean, you had transgender, you had women, you had minorities. Like there are only a few of them where you can adopt enough people, convince them that they're a victim before they're like, hold up, dude. Like how many of the younger group, the younger demographic are going conservative across all races? That's got to petrify the Democrats because they had them all convinced that the system was against them. All the rules are gunning at them, and you better come to us and we'll protect you from the evil systemic racism.
Yeah.
This generation's like, I hear what you're saying, but I don't trust your authority because I think you're just trying to own me and take control of my decision making. Let me look for myself to see if it's my poor decisions that are putting me in peril or the system is really out to get me.
Yeah, I think for years, the only thing that was stifling anything is I feel like for years, the people that saw things a certain way were too afraid to speak up. I'm too afraid to say, that doesn't seem fair. That doesn't seem right. Or this policy feels a little contradictive to what we're trying to accomplish here. But you better not say that because then you look like a bigot. You look like a racist. You look like a Nazi. You're a jerk. How could you? So our mouth got shut. Then Trump comes in. You have this brash, unapologetic, arrogant person that says, this is bull crap, and here's why. And I think it gave everyone else a voice to be like, yeah, I've been thinking that too, but I'm not allowed to say it or else I'm painted as a terrible person. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's the boat I'm in, is I was always feeling a little more liberal for years. And when things started to change and the party started to change and different policies no longer made sense to me, the moment I questioned, I was immediately shut down for even questioning it. And I went, this is bullshit. It's like, I am allowed to question. I am allowed to say something. And unfortunately, this is why the Dems lost. And this is why they're going to lose again, is the pushback of, I have nothing more to say to you other than you are with us or against us. And if you disagree with us, you are the enemy.
So we just gave the Democrats the 3 reasons that they're going to lose. They have they can absolutely take this information because they know it too, and they can change their entire strategy so that they don't just go off into the ether, right? Mm-hmm. But they will not do it. They will fight and defend this piece of real estate, and that's why it's going to be really difficult. Mm-hmm. Without cheating, without skewing the numbers for them to win a legitimate election in the future.
Yeah, and that's why we saw a lot of people talking about, why did Kamala Harris not go on podcasts, not do long form interviews? Why was it only little snippets here and there that were edited or on liberal news organizations? Like, because you saw one side that was like, I'll go talk to whoever you want me to talk to. Where do you want me to go on? We'll go on Rogan. We'll go on Fox. We'll go on NBC. We'll go on Gavin Newsom. We'll go wherever you want to go, and I'll answer anything you want to ask. And then you saw the left that was like, one interview, 1 hour, edited. Here are the talking points. And it's like, that says to me, you got nothing. You got nothing. Like, you can't even be open with us. Yep. You can't even face the criticism or the questions because you know that your answers won't make sense and people are going to call bullshit.
Regular people.
People.
Patricia says one of the executive orders requires CDL holders to be proficient in English.
Yes, I did see that.
Mm-hmm.
You now
How do you feel about the English being the official language of the United States, and in order to operate here, you at least have to speak the official language?
It feels like it makes sense. I don't know why someone would want to live in a country and not learn the language. I feel like your life would be incredibly difficult if you didn't. Like, I don't understand a pushback as to why it'd be about, hey, I moved to this country and I'm required to learn the language. To me, that's obviously you are. Like, how do you get by if you don't? Do you disagree?
I feel both ways. Like, I don't like government telling people what they can and can't do. If I bear the responsibility, so let's just say I hate the US dollar. I'm going to be in the United States and I'm only going to use Canadian dollars, right? Now, my decision to be different and harder than it has to be, I can't inconvenience someone else for what I want to do that's harder. So if I want to come here, not speak any English, well, there's some things that I can't systemically do because I'm not participating in the status quo of where I'm at. You don't go into someone's house and I'm like, hey, I know you don't smoke here, but I do. And I would like you to allow me to do my thing. And you're like, no, you could go home and smoke. You can smoke outside, but I don't change the rules of my house because you want to. So if you're selling candy bars and I got my Canadian dollars, right? And I'm like, I want to buy your, this my foreign language. I want to buy your candy bars, but I have my Canadian dollars, right? And you're going to say, I take US dollars and you're going to have to go do some kind of bank transaction to give me the thing that I accept, which means it's easier if you just had US dollars, but it's so long that you do all the legwork and you come to a conclusion that it's harder to do the thing and it's not really worth it, right? Then you inspire people to do the easy thing instead of push against the hard thing.
Yeah, and I get it. Like, to have the government make you, that's one thing. But yeah, I mean, I've been in instances through other jobs that I was dealing with a customer or client or whatnot that didn't speak English, that did not have an ID in our country, that did not have a lot of things. And the whole interaction is so unnecessarily difficult that I want to be like, do you enjoy this? Like, is this, you had to be driven here by someone. You have to bring someone with you because you don't know what I'm telling you and you can't communicate to me. So you have to only come in when you have someone that can help you. If I need your ID for something, like one time it was a medical office and you don't have one, well, now it gets a little more challenging as well. And now we have to discuss payment, and that you also don't understand. And so it's like, why do you want to live like this? I don't get, like,
but that's the thing. Like, the permission would be, let's just say, if in order to get into this country, I have a test that's written in English and you have to pass the test in order to submit your application, right? Bearing the burden on the person that doesn't know English would have to bring their enabler, either technology or whatever, and I would have to satisfy the same test that everybody else would. And if I can either wait and not apply until I've learned enough English to pass the test, or I can bear the burden on my own and make it so that I don't demand to you and say, you better write one in Spanish. It's like, no, there's one test and you got to earn passing that test to become a citizen.
Yeah.
So I have no problem with, especially if you have to go through toll stations and gas stations and interface with transportation officers and also police officers and people that are looking at your logs, right?
Yeah. Yeah. To me, I feel like to be a truck driver and to have the responsibility, it's probably pretty important to read and understand English.
That's right.
How do you even know where you're going? Like the road signs and the information, if there's a detour, if there's something happen,
Yeah. So the responsibility is on
not.
I agree that English should be the single language, like the US dollar is the single currency, and any accommodations you need, you have to bring them and bear the burden of them.
Yeah.
End of story.
Julie says, listen to Chris Murphy in Congress yesterday about the budget bill. Deporting a 4-year-old that was born here that has stage 4 cancer is hateful.
I don't believe that's to be true. I think I think the mother in this story took their kid. So I don't think we went after a 4-year-old and said, that's the one we're taking right now.
Yeah.
Right?
That's that example of let's make something look like you're a terrible person.
Yes.
Okay, Julie, why was the 4-year-old deported? Why? Why did that happen?
Tom Homan had the best example of it.
Yeah.
Right? So you're driving drunk, right? And you've got a kid in the back seat. Now that kid didn't do anything, but it is now your responsibility, and anything you do, right, transfers to the kid. So is it you who made the bad decision and are here illegally?
Yep.
Is the cop for then pulling you over and doing what is due to a person that's driving drunk? And if the kid is the casualty, it's not the cop's fault. It's the person that did the illegal thing.
If a guy broke the law, if he killed someone, if he stole, he robbed somebody, whatever, and the police come to his house to arrest him. But I have a child.
Exactly.
Okay.
You should
have a good day.
You should have been a responsible adult and protect your child by making better decisions.
Yes.
That would be my response.
And then he always says, everybody says we're breaking up families. We're not. Your child can come with you.
You broke the freaking law. How is the lawbreaker the one that is the victim here? How?
He could say, well, guess what? Now your 4-year-old's in foster care. You just lost your kid. Bye, because you're out of here and he's staying. Or we won't break up your family. Take them with you.
Yeah, that's the empathy.
And it's not our fault that you broke the law.
I'm telling you, when you issue tough love, even if it with your own kids, there's an argument to be made that it would be easier to not do the tough love.
Yeah.
But what you do is you allow bad behaviors to propagate because you've supported them. Now, So anyway.
So Julie, if someone broke into your house, robbed you, and held you at gunpoint and traumatized you for the rest of your life, maybe even, God forbid, hurt someone you love. But you know what? When you go to press charges, you find out they have a sick child who's fighting cancer. Do you let them go? All right, free pass. Doesn't matter what you did to me. Doesn't matter what you did to my loved ones. Doesn't matter what you did to my livelihood. Free pass. You got a sick child. No! You're like, I don't even care. Look what you just did. Get out of here.
Yep.
Carter, Julie says, immigrants do assimilate and learn the language. History has shown that. Right? In some cases, not always.
Let me give you another example that doesn't have the sick cancer kid that gets caught up in this, but how you would judge this and how you'd form your opinions if it were you who was the person that was being victimized. Okay. Mm-hmm. So let's just say somebody broke into your house. Right?
Yeah.
They broke the law. They broke into your house. But while they were there, they made you dinner, right? And they vacuumed your living room floor. Now the police come, right? Mm-hmm. And are you going to be on the side of being able to forgive the break-in side of thing because there were some things that you liked and benefited? You're like, no, spare room. It's all yours. You cooked me dinner. Or are you going to get a little fixated on the origin of why they were there in the first place, which is they broke into my freaking house. I don't care what they did. Arrest them.
I might be like, thank God they weren't violent and didn't hurt us, but they're clearly mentally ill.
You broke the law.
They need removed from society. Or else what happens if they break into the next house because they're mentally ill and they get shot by the homeowner?
But in no other personal example will you justify and overlook the origin of the law break because there was some ancillary, benefit from it somewhere. No one else would judge it like that.
Yep. You see how Democrats twist things? Nobody deported a 4-year-old. Would the option be to leave the 4-year-old at home without their parents? Half-truths are dangerous. Julie says the 4-year-old was put on the deportation plane before lawyers could get to them. Get to them to do what? For what? To put him in foster care? To take him away? Because then, you know what you're saying? They're breaking up families. They took the 4-year-old away.
This is the card that will be played over and over again as they search through any storyline that draws at your heartstrings and takes accountability from the people who broke the law to begin with, right?
Yeah.
If we put it on the bad, tough love people who are doing the right thing versus the person that freaking broke the law and put their families in danger.
Yep, that's why Garcia was made such a martyr. Oh my gosh, he shouldn't have been kicked out. He was a good person. He was a dad. He was this and that.
I just don't understand.
Like, one, he was here illegally. That's not an opinion. That's a fact. That's not, was he a member of the gang? Was he not a member of the gang? Was he wearing gang clothing? Was he not wearing gang clothing? All that maybe can be debated. It is factual information he was here illegally, number one. Number two, it is factual information his wife had a police report against him, accusing him of things. All of that is just ignored to say, oh, a Maryland man was kicked out of the country. How sad.
But I ponder this, and I know the answer, but I still ponder it. Why is this the hill that you are looking to die on? Like this one? Like, I don't understand why Julie, who is a reasonable person in some departments, are so willing to go to bat for people who are lawbreakers, who are not here legally and commit crimes here. Why is that your choice?
Yeah, because there's nothing else. Nicole says, from what I understand, the mother had the choice to put them in the care of someone she chose or take them with her. She chose the latter. Oh, wait. So the mother wanted the child to come with her? Is the mother a bad guy?
I don't know. The headline is way more dramatic if it's Trump rips 4-year-old out of the country who has cancer.
He takes the family away and boots the kid and sends the kid on a plane without the attorney saying, yeah, they need to leave the country and here's your kid. And
what? I don't even care about this issue. I really don't. But the ignorance on it is so annoying that it just irritates me enough that I want to say stuff about it.
Do you know, can you think of a legitimate hill a Dem would reasonably want to die on? Like, we hear all the ridiculousness of like criminals in the country and should men be allowed to play in sports and all these like really sort of left ideas that I think are now starting to dwindle as we realize that left and right both are starting to agree on some things. Is there something you can think of that would be like, Dem's got 100% point here, you should run on this?
Medicine, insurance, banking, very non-emotional issues that need both sides to come to some common ground on. That if we're like, all right, people die every day from medical that they can't afford. And so why is the system keeping so many people out of getting the care that they need, right? There aren't many people who are going to be like, oh, let's just let them die, right? That would be a hill that we're like, okay, no matter what we do, we got to figure out a way to be able to afford it and to take care of those people. We're on it. That would be a hill that I'd be like, worthwhile.
Makes sense.
Absolutely.
Julie says she tried to call. Oh, we're sorry, Julie. We didn't even see your call come in.
I'll try again. I'm
Our
sorry.
Phones never work here. She says the mother was not given a choice, according to the lawyer. Okay. Again, if the mother and father were criminals, broke the law, did something wrong, broke a rule, whatever, and they were being kicked out, should the child stay here alone in foster care, or should the child go be with their family? And why does it even matter when they were being kicked out for breaking the law?
You know what I think they should do? Because I'm so tired of talking about this. Set the example of this month of taking the low-hanging fruit out, okay? And then Trump gets in front of the podium, super serious, and says, listen, you see what's happening, and it's going to continue to happen. If there are any families here that don't want to go through that and be a casualty of this process, submit yourself to the authorities, and we will pick a slow, methodical way to make sure everybody is complete. Self-deport, but let's do it instead of rounding you up in super fast fashion. Let's take our time and make sure everybody is taken care of. If they did that, right, then all they would have to do is get the big criminals out of here. So if that person got chosen, the person they're tagged along with broke some major laws. They are not going after people who just happen to be here. These are people that break multiple, really bad versions of our law. So I don't really feel as much empathy because they caused it. But there's going to be some lesser things. I came across the border. I got my papers. I haven't broken any laws. I'm here illegally. How are you going to deal with me? You're going to rip my kid away too? That's where I want them to pause and do a much easier, better version with my Texas due process special immigration court.
Oh, because of course you don't ever hear them saying, you'll hear things like, well, Elon Musk made a whole bunch of cuts and people who shouldn't have been cut got cut, or RFK did away with all kinds of stuff. And then you'll almost always hear, there was one recently, RFK had said, hey, I think we made too many cuts and we're going to start bringing some people back. Hey, we went ahead, did a blanket fire. Now we're rehiring people back. They don't want to say that. They don't want to say, oh, yeah, after they did this, then they went ahead and they made this situation right. And they made this situation right. No, it's only mass cutting, mass firing, mass deportations for no reason other than what? They're just all jerks. They just all feel like being jerks and feel like doing stuff for absolutely no reason. That doesn't make any sense.
I just kind of looked at that article to see who it was and what they did wrong to be deported. Because I think in the story, I think we'd be less likely, right, to be even a little bit engaged in this if we knew how bad the charges that got them on that plane. And I looked at the article and there wasn't a name, nor were there crimes that were committed. That would be helpful in the context of things.
It would also be helpful to know even what the kid's situation is. I'm sure it could be bad, and I don't want to say it's not. If it's not, it very well could be. But wouldn't it also be interesting to be like, here's a kid with a minor health issue. Let's play it up to make him look worse so they look more of a monster. Don't tell me that doesn't happen.
Right. But and that's why I feel bad for Julie, because obviously she's using her heart in this. And they're using her for political gain by getting her totally upset that so much that she wants to defend criminals who have hurt citizens, right? And should not be here for the sake of a kid who's now put in harm's way by the bad decisions of the parents.
Yeah, and that's why you hear that term I used to hate, being called a bleeding heart liberal. Oh, you just feel bad for everyone and you want to, and then the left takes the stance of we're the party that cares for people and we have love and we have this and that. And I used to relate to that idea until you saw that was not the case. Maybe it used to be, but it's not anymore. And it's now they're still trying to put that narrative out there, even though it's not true, just so that they can kind of keep these people thinking, hey, feel bad for them, feel bad for them, feel bad for them, and pay no attention to what's actually happening or what makes sense.